Hi guys, so that is actually a question you asked a while ago, and I think it's now my third attempt to try and answer it. And trying to be a little bit less rambling about. I think one of the main reasons I'd struggle to find is this better like this? Yeah, appropriate reply, may I say, is that obviously in relation to what personally at the moment I'm going through and my family's going through, a lot of things don't really suck that much, if it makes any sense to you. Or I would say go even as far as that I realized that when my mom was first ill, that a lot of things are not really worth getting yourself so wound up about. Is that how you put it? I hope so. Yeah, but so I think that's why I've been trying, that's why I've been struggling so much replying or giving a good reply to that wonderful question, if I may say. And also, I don't think I have ever been asked something like that, which is maybe one point, but then maybe I'm also being careful. I think all jobs probably have upsides and downsides and advantages and disadvantages, and depending on what you personally like to do, what your preferences are, what your characteristics, where your talents are most, you'll find various aspects of any job, I would suppose, easier, or you like them less, things like that, right? So what I'm trying to say is probably aspects of what I'm saying could be related to other jobs, especially jobs in the entertainment or the music industry, not just being a violinist, not just in classical music. So hence I'm being quite careful, or hence I find it quite difficult to go for it. But maybe one thing that can be a bit challenging, put it like that, being a musician, or the kind of musician that I am, so an independent classical musician, or should we say classical musician with creative innovations in other areas than classical music as well. So pretty broad range, independent instrumentalist, yes, so soloist. So people assume you do what you love, which in my case is true. I went for what I loved doing, which is performing, playing the violin, as a career choice, yes. Although I would say it never felt like a choice, really. I couldn't have imagined something else from very, very early age. So obviously, I can only speak from that kind of perspective, but I think it's clear you asking me, so I'm just wanting to make sure that's a very maybe personal aspect, and you're seeing my view on things, knowing full well, and I'm being aware of that somebody else has a different perspective, of course. So people presume you do what you love, and then they presume there's nothing in what, because you chose to do what you love, as, let's say, the opposite of someone doing a job simply to earn money and really having no personal connection to that job. Let's put it like that. Like, there's two extremes, right? I would say a lot of people probably try to go somewhere in the middle, right? But So those are the two extremes. You do what you love. It's a sort of love job. It's not about the money. So there is nothing that you should be unhappy about, because you do what you love. So end of story. So that's let's say a presumption that can be difficult if you're having a lot to do with people like that have that perspective on your job, and also then on aspects of your life, right? So that can be challenging, but I would suppose that's similar to from artists from other areas, simply that doing what you love, I would say, what people forget, certainly with me being a violinist, is the amounts of time and work and effort that you need to put in to actually even just become a professional, not, the big name. That is never up to just you, or your quality of playing. So that's completely, so let's say it's a pretty high risk investment of your time, lifetime essentially, and work and all of that, so they forget that to be able to do a little bit of what you love, you have to give up quite a lot of other things. And of course, I'm not trying to put in like a victim kind of attitude. No, not at all. So I always, because people have told me that, my goodness, what a dedication, etc. And I have always been very aware. I chose not to do other things as I was growing up. For example, I chose to spend a lot of time just in a room, basically, which leads me maybe to the second, a little bit of a, let's say, problem. I would say that's more problem relating then, and ground and a base for misunderstandings maybe. Although I have come to the realization that it's better not to expect of, if you know the person is not a musician and doesn't really have a lot of contact, you're not expecting any kind of insight. Why should they? Just not expect that, and then you as a musician, you don't have a problem really talking to them. You're just not expecting any kind of insight regarding your job. Why? That's not, nobody has to have that. You can relate on other things maybe, or find grounds for that. So it leaves me to the second thing that I have found in my past, which is that because you love what you do and you're being kind of on the outside being able to do that, any kind of desire to be paid for quality work is a bit dreamy or unrealistic, or should not be, because in some people's mind, I think you are being given that the pure fact that you can do professionally what you love should be enough. And that's actually a bit sad, I find, if you look at society. So that means you should suffer to earn money, So I think isn't there a study somewhere where it shows how much people spend working and spend earning a living. So imagine you just don't like it at all. How much of your lifetime are you then actually spending on things you don't like? And if you spend a lot of time on things you that don't make any sense to you, or that you can't derive anything else but money, what an effect that might have on all the other aspects of your life, and then on your general life quality and maybe health even, may I say. So, but that's just the thing. The other extreme is just doing what you love and not really being able to pay rent, or just not being, and worrying about that the entire time, you know. That's not good either. I mean, it brings me to think of, you know, how we look at work in general, you know. And I think probably my generation, I know we don't have a good reputation. I think the millennials, yes, that there should be more than money. And life is, you know, that time and quality of life is just as important as to afford life, of course, you know. That's often the reproach that they don't want to work, they don't want to put in the work. Well, I think as a violinist, you cannot not work, you know. Simply you hear it, you know, it's quite as simple as that. Yeah, but if you like, it's a bit philosophical. Should we be made to, you know, that essentially, wouldn't that then result in saying, let's say Van Gogh loved painting? And I think whether you like art or not, I think we can say pretty much, well, he's certainly left fantastic art behind him, you know. It's still to this day, you know, appreciated and loved. So was it not work what he did? Because he was drawn to do it. And was it not work because it didn't, I don't know, immediately make 2 million, whatever? Do you see what I mean? What is work? So, yeah, maybe we could have a little discussion about it. But, third point, I would say, of what can be a bit of a drag being musician, I would say people not taking your job really seriously, especially people who like really don't have a lot of contact as an audience member, like they have no idea really what a concert is, you know. And I've had contact with people like that, and you'd be surprised when they come to a performance how their attitude changes. So I think some of the, let's say, prejudices that people have, right, when they're dealing with professional musicians is sometimes just that they don't know. They've not been exposed to it, they don't know, and they are looking at it from their perspective. Yes, but maybe a fourth one, so that's more in general life, that I find a bit annoying, but as I say, my perspective has changed massively in the last couple of years, and I think probably, as you might realize, is changing all the time right now, and probably lots of things are that I don't know yet, you know, will have, that is going to have an effect, you know, on quite a lot of things. Professional, private, many ways, you know, that I don't know yet. So it's just a process, and there's nothing I can do about it really, but life is doing it, you know. It's not something I had a choice over or have a choice. Yes. Another point is when I deal with other people in other areas of life, let's say a car dealer or getting something repaired or having some other sort of service. I mean, in a situation where you cannot kind of avoid having some sort of conversation about something because you're needing their service, their professional help, service. And what used to annoy me, I mean, by now I just smile and, the instant reply. So when I ask you, so what do you do? Well, I'm a professional, I'm a violinist, or I'm a musician. Oh, me too. Or, oh, my uncle too, and then it turns out, well, they play the guitar a little bit, or they sing in the choir. And of course they're not a professional, but they call themselves immediately musician. I'm a musician. And then they tell you all about what they're doing. And I'm sure it's meant in a nice way, but sometimes it's just, I certainly could do without it, but it doesn't really upset me anymore. It doesn't. Yes, and maybe because that's then a full hand 5. The 5th thing maybe is that all kinds of, and that's when I've been to doctors, and so has my mom, that they want to talk about your profession. So when you need someone's professional help and you really want to go there and you have a problem, like you need help with getting better from the doctor or blood tested or whatever, or any other kind of, everyday thing that happens. And all they want to do is talk about your, what you do or what music they like, and or some sort of last recording or that or the other. And you can hardly talk about the actually pressing thing that you need their, professional advice, help, whatever with. So, but I mean, does it suck? It's also quite charming, it's nice if people are interested. It just shows that music is something very personal to people. It affects them and is really nice, if they show an interest. So that's why I say on number 5, it's just one of these things. But maybe you'd have it less. I don't know. You tell me if you have a different profession, if you're, I don't know, a lawyer, maybe people talk less immediately about whatever comes to their everyday mind, about law, or I don't know. So as I say, I don't really have a comparison. It's just one of these things. And I hope I've replied to that question a bit more succinct and less rambly than usual, at least maybe 1% less. And looking forward to loads more questions.